What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We are currently in Rock Hill, South Carolina, about 30 minutes south of Charlotte. I can actually see 77 North and the sign to Charlotte from where I'm sitting. Currently at Starbucks, and it's currently Saturday. My entire weekend has been shot. Literally, the whole plan for this weekend has gone right down the drain. So we're going to talk about that, but it has officially been my first full week of being an on-the-road trucker, and I wanted to come on here today and kind of talk about my experience so far. I've got my loads up right over here on my iPad with my expense report, basically, so we can kind of talk about the things that where we made money, where we lost money, some tips and tricks so far that I've learned, a couple lessons that I have learned, and also just about the experience of being on the road. So, my first load was officially on the 8th of June. Now, I received my truck on the 1st of June. However, due to some initial oversights with myself when it comes to getting the load board set up and also getting my authority officially active, I was not able to theoretically be ready until the 7th. So the first load was on June 8th. Now, I'm not going to go into massive amounts of details on these loads, but I'm going to give you some examples of my expenses, what I made, and just some things along that route to each load that I can kind of talk about my experience with. So, if you know anything about trucking, when you first have your authority established, which means you get approval to run loads through the FMCSA, getting loads is extremely hard to do. Most brokers don't want to work with newbies. They only want to work with established people who know the business and who understand what they're doing. I have been very lucky. And the reason I say that is because this whole game is about relationships, building relationships, meeting the right people, talking to the right people, and putting yourself into situations and where it will allow you to get loads. Now, if you know my background, coming from being a professional race car driver for a few years, I have used that specifically in a lot of talks with brokers, and it has worked. I've been able to take a couple loads with brokers that normally would not accept me. However, they did because I was able to not only talk about my past, but actually show them proof of my past. Pictures, videos, and because of that, they have allowed me to run loads for them. So that has been a plus. I've been able to build 2 relationships so far that have just been insurmountably incredible when it comes off of success of the business so far. And at this moment, I have theoretically booked 6 loads. I've taken 3, about to complete my 4th. However, I have also had to cancel 2 loads because of a situation, which is what I'm going to explain to you. So, my first day on the load board, I got up at 6 a.m. and I literally told myself I will not leave this load board until I get my first load. Doesn't matter. Sat down at 6, got my first load booked at 2 p.m. This was the first load that I booked, and this was one of the relationships that I mentioned that have been absolutely incredible. This person not only is a broker, but they're also a driver, and they also have a very large network to be able to help me get loads. They also pay top dollar compared to what a newbie would make in this industry. So starting out, my first load was with this specific person. It was from Miami to Orlando. Now, this route is only 227 miles, and I was able to I was able to make $500 off of this load. This is a 3.5-hour journey, so my rate per mile on this was roughly I wish, $2.20. I did have quite a bit of deadhead, but She was so wonderful. She actually kind of paid me as well for my deadhead just to get me off the ground so I could get my first official load. So in all on this trip, Miami to Orlando was a $500 rate. It was $220 on the rate per mile. I spent $135 in fuel, and I spent $24 in tolls. So you could do the math. That was my first load, and it just so happens that my first load was at the Opa-locka Executive Prime Airport, which also houses a racetrack. So I was literally picking up from a racetrack, which is crazy because obviously that's one of my past jobs, and my first ever load just happens to get picked up from a racetrack. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. So that load's done. To my next load, it was a local load. Now, I did not get this load for 3 days, so this kind of goes into my first lesson. That load that I booked from Miami to Orlando was booked on Friday. One of the things that I learned from taking the course, I took multiple courses, and what I also learned from my mentorship call was you want to book loads on Friday that are going to run through the weekend. So you pick up on Friday, you're driving Saturday, you're driving Sunday, and you're dropping Monday. Or you get to your location Sunday night, you can drop Monday morning, anything Monday morning to where you can drop. That way your weekend is busy. Well, because it was my first load and I just wanted to get my first load out of the way, I took that Opa-locka, which Miami, to Orlando load, which then kind of led me coming into Saturday with no load because I was busy running that load. I wasn't on the load board. So Saturday and Sunday, I did not get a load. Monday comes, I booked a load to Tampa. That load got canceled. Doesn't matter why, I booked it, I signed a rate con, got a call about 10 minutes later, the load got canceled, had to pick up a different load. Was not able to get my next load until Tuesday, which ended up being a local load from Fort Myers over to Naples. This whole drive was roughly from pickup to drop was 2 hours, and I made $200. So it was a $200 pick and drop. It was about $3.94 per mile, and my fuel cost was only $20.27 with no tolls. So that was an incredible load number 2. Unfortunately, $200 is great. I'd rather be in the $600 to $700 range per day, but for a local load that allowed me to get another load under my belt, I was quite happy at a $3.94 per mile. That is an absolute win. Most of the people who are coming into this business are only making about $1.10, $1.20, $1.30 per mile, and that, of course, my first load was $2.20, my second load was $3.94, so we are definitely on the winning track. Now, advancing into my third load. My third load was what finally took me up north and got me on the road. Now, this load was from Palmetto, which the easy way to say Palmetto is Tampa Bay, from Tampa Bay to Atlanta. This load paid me $700 for 500 miles, and my rate per mile was $1.40. So once again, it's kind of on the high side for newbies. So $1.40 per mile. It cost me $221 in fuel, no tolls. So once again, do the math. We have a $500 rough profit there. So that's excellent, right? Great load. Now, when I took that load before I took that load, I was on the load board and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving Tampa Bay, but I'm in Fort Myers, right? I need to get north. Let me try to find a load from Fort Myers up to Tampa. So when I was doing that, I actually found a load that would have taken me to Tampa, not empty. It would have been no deadhead. And if you don't know what a deadhead is, it's basically driving your truck with nothing in it. So you're basically making no money to drive, yet you're wasting fuel. I found that load, and once again, that load got canceled. There was an issue between the broker and the shipper. The load was booked. I took it. I was about to leave. Right before I leave, the load gets canceled. So that was 2 to Tampa that I lost. So at that point, because I already had this Palmetto and Atlanta load lined up, I then had to take that load with the deadhead. So I had roughly an 87-mile deadhead, which by no means is a lot. That's, in trucking, you're trying to keep it at 100 or under on the deadhead. So 87 miles I was okay with. I just wish that I originally could have had a load to get me to that point empty. So now starts the fun stuff. So when I booked to Atlanta, about 20 minutes later, I found a load out of Atlanta. This is a very long story, but I'm not going to take all day to tell it. We're going to make this quite snappy. I booked the load from Palmetto to Atlanta, and then I found another load within 20 minutes to leave Atlanta and come to where I'm at right now, which is Rock Hill, South Carolina. Well, theoretically, the town that I'm delivering in is about 5 minutes down the road. It's called Richburg, South Carolina. It has a population of like 250 people, so it's a very small town. So I'm thinking, okay, awesome. We're going to pick up in Atlanta. We're going to drop off in South Carolina. And then, what do you know it, I had another load booked out of South Carolina. And it was from South Carolina back to Georgia, over in Newnan, Georgia, which is just south of Atlanta. And that was a simple 200-mile run for $300.50. Sorry, $350. So it was like 220 miles for $350. So that was booked for Saturday. So I was supposed to drop in Richburg Friday night, pick up Saturday morning in Richburg, well, just outside of Richburg, and then deliver back to Newnan, Georgia on Saturday night for $350. So then, knowing that, thinking ahead, having loads pre-booked, okay, I'm going to be in Newnan, Georgia on Saturday night. Sunday is a very tough day to get freight. If you're getting on the load board Sunday morning and looking for a load, it's quite difficult. I get a call from Elizabeth, who is my contact, the relationship person I told you that I was able to build with, who gave me my first ever load. She has a load picking up in Tennessee and delivering to New Hampshire. It's a 3-day journey, 1,700 miles for $2,000. And she was even covering my deadhead from Newnan, Georgia to the pickup in Tennessee. So it was a 3-day journey for $2,000, an absolute spectacle for a person who is new in this industry. 100% I'm taking it, booked it. So now I was dropping Friday, picking and dropping Saturday, driving Sunday to my Tennessee pickup Monday in Tennessee, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through to New Hampshire. And then she was going to find a load for me on Wednesday out of New Hampshire. Well, theoretically, it would have been Thursday because I would drop Wednesday. So she was going to find a load for me out of New Hampshire for Thursday. So my entire week was booked until the reason that I'm currently still in Richburg, South Carolina on a Saturday. You see, when I booked the load from Atlanta to Richburg, I was under the impression from the broker and all of our talking that this load was an expedited delivery. It was a pickup with an appointment time at 2 p.m. in Atlanta and an expedited drop at 9 p.m. in Richburg. That is a 6 to 7 hour gap with a 4.5 hour drive. However, if you're familiar with Atlanta, the traffic through Atlanta is insane. I rushed to get from Atlanta to Richburg. I made it to my drop-off point with 15 minutes before my appointment. All is well, let's get it. Get to the gate? Haha, just kidding. You're not scheduled to drop off until Sunday evening at 9 p.m. My first big lesson, don't listen to the broker. Read the rate con, which is the sheet that you get that tells you your pickup and your drop off. When I booked the load, I checked the rate con. I checked the pickup date. I checked the time, my appointment. What I didn't check was the delivery date. I checked the delivery time. The delivery time was 9 p.m., but I did not check the date. So I was thinking I was dropping Friday at 9 p.m. Nope, I'm dropping Sunday at 9 p.m. So because of that, I have a fully loaded truck, which is just here, completely full, that I can do nothing with. From Saturday And Sunday, I'm stuck here because my delivery is just a couple miles down the road. I have a full truck of canned goods and I can't go anywhere. So first note, make sure you're always reading the rate con in full, every little detail, because if you don't, you can get yourself screwed. So because of this, I had to cancel my run to Noonan, Georgia, out $350. Then I had to cancel my run from Tennessee to New Hampshire, out $2,000. Because if I were to drop where I'm at in Richburg, South Carolina, to get to my pickup was a 600-mile deadhead. Absolute 100%, not even a question, we can't do that. I was so frustrated last night. I pulled into the Pilot truck stop at about 9:30, feeling completely defeated, completely floored, upset, mad, sad, angry, frustrated, every emotion. I went from feeling so good, thinking, man, we've got all these runs lined up, we're making money, we're being profitable, we're on the road. Driving through South Carolina was absolutely beautiful. I was on back roads for most of the final hour, got off 85, got on some back roads, and it was just pure beauty. Feeling good, flying on cloud nine, and then boom, get slapped across the face with a wet noodle because we can't drop until Sunday. So I lost that load to Noonan, I lost that load to New Hampshire. Now what? So last night, after being angry, being mad, all the above, after about an hour, I was like, listen, there's absolutely nothing that I can do. We are in this situation. The situation is what it is. I can't change it. Nothing that I can do can change my situation. And guess what? If you can't change it, you forget about it because there's nothing you can do. So I did the best I could. Pick up the pieces. You get slapped across the face. You learn. If you don't make mistakes, you can't learn for the future. So that mistake taught me a lesson to always 100% read the rate con and don't pay attention to what the broker says. So now, this is how it's working. We're in Rock Hill. We're here until Sunday night. I was able to book a load out of Rock Hill on Monday morning. Actually, it is a pickup in Charlotte, which is just 20 minutes north. So I'm picking up Monday morning in Charlotte, drive all day Monday for a drop on Tuesday morning in Tennessee. I don't remember the name, but what I do know is it's about a 400-mile journey for a $600 profit. I keep saying profit. For a $600 gross income. So we're driving 400 miles for $600. I drop Tuesday morning, first thing Tuesday morning. So now what I'm doing as soon as I get done making this video is I am going to be finding loads out of Tennessee, which I'm about 15 to 20 minutes north of Nashville. So I'm going to be looking for loads out of Nashville, Tennessee for Tuesday morning to go north or to go east. That's been my first week. It's been very eventful. I've really enjoyed it. The hardest part is, of course, not being home, missing my wife, missing my cats, not seeing my family. That's been, of course, the hardest part, but she's been supportive. I'm going hard because I'm trying to build this business smart, but I'm also trying to build it to a point where it's going to be established and we don't have to worry about it. It can be set it and forget it and generate that passive income by hiring another driver, making sure that everything is aligned, and then we can use the money coming from the trucking business to then fund our real estate ventures. So that has been the first official week. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable. I've had no issues aside from that big first slap across the face. The truck, it's a 90-gallon fuel tank. It costs about $300 to fill. So we've already had 3 fill-ups so far. It's been quite expensive, but the truck also makes it 1,000 miles. Well, between your weight, roughly 800 to 1,000 miles on an empty tank. On a full tank, That would be something, going 1,000 miles on an empty tank. We get about 10 miles per gallon, even loaded. This truck gets about 10 miles per gallon. I absolutely love this Mack. If you guys are aware, I lost my best friend, my dog, just a couple of weeks ago. His name was Charlie, so of course I happened to name the truck Charlie, in honor and in memory of him. That's my first week on the road. That's some lessons I've learned. We got a lot more coming. Wanted to just give you guys an update because I haven't posted it in about a week since being on the road, so I wanted to make this video, let you guys know. And since we're stuck here for 2 days, I got to make the most of it. If you guys want to hear more about my trucking journey, hit the like button, and also to see more, hit the subscribe button, because if you don't hit the subscribe button, you won't see any more and you won't hear any more. Plus, it'll help me out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Peace out, and remember, you create your own story.